And so I'm basically recording it so that I don't get confused again. I am going to record three types of videos. The first one I call process logs. The purpose, it says capture thinking while it happens. So this is what I do when I work on my projects like MAD 2. Just like what I did in MAD 1, when I was doing the MAD 1 project, I screen recorded myself working on the project, but at that time I wasn't recording the audio because I didn't have a mic, and the computer mic that I had, it really sucked. And also I was not alone in my room, there were other people, so talking would make everything weird. But now I have my own room and I have a mic and I can screen record easily. OBS is much better than VSDC, I think, because I don't know, VSDC just makes everything kind of freeze. But I'm saying that like I actually did record with VSDC, so it's not that bad. But the point is, the first one is process logs. So if I'm solving some really hard assignment like TDS, where I have to learn a lot of things, then I'm going to record myself learning those things. And when I'm working on Mat 2 project, because I'm learning a lot of things, I am kind of doing something new, like, making this project. And what the idea here is, I want to basically capture the, like, the mistakes that I make in real time, the things that I learn, the process that I figure out, so that, this is kind of like a log that I can look at later. So once the Mat 2 project is done, then I can look at it and see, how I was in the beginning, what things confused me, what things did I made errors in, what kind of errors did I make, because, I want to know all of those things so that I can kind of see where kind of beginners have the most problem. Then maybe like that would help me kind of make better teaching videos for other people. But anyway, the goal is to capture the process, like it says, capture thinking while it happens, capture learning while it happens. And I'm going to try to talk so that I can tell you like my thought process as well. So I'm not gonna just like do things. I'll also try to explain what I'm doing and record myself. So this is the first type. Then yeah, and type 2, this is preservation videos. The purpose, it says, preserve a realization before it evaporates. So this is like, like I recorded those FFmpeg video explaining like how do you use it to extract a specific audio track. If your video has multiple audio tracks, or maybe like you want to make a video with just one audio track that has the main audio. So how to do that? You can use FFmpeg, and you can just use your command line to do that. And I actually use git bash. So I am basically explaining how to do a specific thing that I learned to do. So yeah, it's this stuff. Or like if I have some kind of insight, I have some kind of idea, like I suddenly have this really amazing idea on like how I can explain this thing, how I can explain this concept in Java about object variables, then I'm going to record it. So basically recording insights that I have so that I don't forget it, and recording how to do something that I learned to do. Like I always do something with Git, like you have to, I don't know why there are always errors when I'm trying to connect, like creating a repository and connecting it with my folder or something, and then like there's always some kind of problem. Like I have to set the like local credentials or something. Okay, you know what, I still don't know. So basically when I do something and I know how to do it because the memory is fresh, then I am going to explain it in the video so that later I can come back to it. It will be like a tutorial for myself because I know I'm going to forget it, that. And I can also upload it because those videos are going to be helpful. And on YouTube, if they're on my channel, like I can find it easily too. I don't have to, like, it's going to be on the internet. So basically, if I have some kind of insight about something, if I understood something all of a sudden, like it made sense, then I can explain that, like what made sense, why it made sense. So that kind of thing, insights, understanding, so that I don't lose it, and skills, like if I learn how to do a certain thing, then record that, something like that. So this is preservation video. I want to preserve the memory. I don't want to forget. I know I will forget. So it says characteristics, 2 to 15 minutes, recorded immediately after insight. Yeah, because otherwise I'm going to forget. Yeah, basically the things that I want to preserve for the future. So it could be anything, like if I don't want to forget what I was doing, maybe I was working on that 2 project, and then like I have to go and do something else. Maybe I have to get dinner, so I don't want to forget what I was doing. I want to keep the context alive, so I can record a video and just explain like what I was doing, show it, record myself talking about it, so that like I can come back to the video, watch it, and then I would know exactly what I was doing and where to start. And so yeah, that's the second one. So yeah, questions, these answer later. What did I figure out? Why did it click? How was I thinking about it at the time? Yeah, so this is basically a video version of an Obsidian note. Sure. Then type 3 is the teaching videos. So these are the videos that I want to upload on YouTube, because those are the videos that I think other people would appreciate. Yeah, so for my channel, yeah, like I was making those system command videos where I was explaining, basically I was trying to build up from simple commands to this like OPP that we have in this course that is really difficult. But I only ended up making 2 videos, and one of the videos didn't have an audio. I don't know why, so I only have 1 video. I uploaded it. But yeah, those kind of videos that are concise, that don't have like rambling, that are just to the point, they're teaching a specific thing. Okay, so like Flask basics, create a basic Flask app, something like that. Yeah, so this is gonna be like planned, concise, goal-oriented, audience-focused. But basically, the course videos, I make specific videos on specific topic that are really concise and they simplify the concept, something like that. Yeah, so these are traditional YouTube tutorials. And there was like the 4th one. So I was thinking, I like the 3rd one is something that I can upload on YouTube. Yeah, this is something that is like uploadable material. Okay, and but the 1st and 2nd one aren't. So yeah, and yeah, like in the process log, I would also, yeah, like if I'm learning something, like I'm reading a book, or maybe I'm trying to understand something, like I'm trying to answer some question that I have some doubt in Java, and I'm looking at different books or trying to find videos to answer that question, like recording that whole thing, that would be really interesting. Yeah, it's like that would be really interesting. Basically if I can explain what my doubt exactly is, my confusion, as best as I can in the beginning, and then I actually go through all of the videos and like maybe chat GPT conversation and like books or whatever, and then like that whole process of how I clear up my doubt, that recording, that will be really interesting. So the 4th one was like retrospective videos. So yeah, so basically like I have made all of these process videos and preservation. I don't know about preservation videos, but yeah, I think like preservation videos can also be, some of them can also be uploaded on YouTube. Okay, yeah, but some of them are not gonna be like these are my insights. If it's about like how to use some kind of tool to solve some kind of specific problem, then that could be uploaded. But if it's like how I want to teach Java, I have maybe I can explain it this way, that way. Like, I don't think that would be good. So, yeah. Or like if I'm leaving a note for myself for the future, then that's not going to be a good thing to upload. So, yeah, like I have these process logs, especially like if I am learning something and recording it, then I can, like, once certain amount of time passes, like maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe more than a month, then I can go and watch those videos and figure out, like, yeah, like how I spend 30 hours trying to understand cognition. I don't know, like this is trying to make these thumbnail, like really clickbaity kind of title that YouTube videos have. That's not my goal. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to see, what I actually learned and what my confusion was, what misconceptions I had, how were they cleared, what happened, like why, like maybe I got demotivated along the way, because yeah, like, like today I didn't have, and also yesterday I had no interest in, studying that cognitive science book that I was studying, and, learning linguistics that I started in the beginning. So I basically did that for like a few days, and then now I can't even get into it. I want to just continue, but for some reason, like the context is gone. I don't know what I was learning, and I can't make myself get into it. So something like I can kind of basically see all of that, that I lost interest, or, I started basically see the whole recording and extract things from it. And yeah, like I can, I can make those kind of process logs. So, I was learning this thing, whatever thing that I was learning, like that cognitive science. It wasn't exactly cognitive science. I was trying to, learn specific things. And I think the best field to explore was cognitive science, but there were other fields that I would explore. So that thing I could explain, like, what I did, what my goal was, and what I actually did, all of that. And I can teach the thing. So at that time, I can also try to consolidate all of the things that I learned. So I learned about linguistics, what is linguistics, and, all the categories in linguistics, and like all of the things that I learn, I can kind of condense it and make it a teaching video. Like I'm explaining what I learned, condensing it and explaining properly to people, something like that. And also, yeah, like process log, how I actually went about learning, like what resources I explored. Maybe, like I opened this cognitive science book, I read the first chapter, and then I started watching this video on neuroscience, and then like this video that was about neuroscience of linguistics, and then, I came back to the book and like all of that. So like the whole thing that happened, the whole process of how I learned, and then like, what my thoughts were, like I read this book, then I was thinking that, because I have a video where like I can see what I was thinking, and then, I have those videos where I'm watching a video and then I have doubts and I'm saying those doubts out loud, and I'm asking ChatGPT questions and it's clarifying, or I'm clarifying something, something like that. So I have those videos so I can kind of I can listen to them and I can see like, okay, these were the questions I had at that time, and, I watched this video and this answered it, and like something like that. So all of that I can have. And yeah, so something like that. So these are gonna be called, retrospective videos. These are, I think, the ones that would fit the learning everything channel, I guess. So this says like purpose, tell the story of learning, what I learned in June, how I spent 30 hours trying to understand cognition. This month I accidentally went from Java to neuroscience, revisiting my old recordings. These videos answer what happened rather than how do you do this. Structure. So this was purpose, structure. You rewatch process logs and preservation videos, then ask, what was I trying to do? I started by learning fMRI. What confused me? I couldn't understand how ideas could emerge from neurons. What changed? I discovered Mars levels. What still confuses me? I still don't know how representations work. What questions emerged? Can meaning emerge from physical streams? So yeah, they are documentary style videos. Yeah, that is true. Yes, so the retrospective one would be basically, it's closer to research diaries. Second one is closer to research diaries, developer journals, learning documentaries, intellectual autobiographies. Yeah, so it's basically like learning documentary, if you will. And yeah, so retrospective is like, how do I actually take that process log and then convert it into something that people wouldn't be bored and just stop watching. So yeah, and yeah, I want to capture that. So that's the point. And it's like, if I am learning a thing, I don't know how to edit the video because I don't know which part that I realized or which part that I was thinking or which thing that was written in the book that was the most important. I would only know like in retrospect after I spent like a month learning that thing, then I would know, okay, this thing was more important, something like that. Like this is something that happens in, let's say, in college courses, because in the beginning when you're at week one, you have no idea like what is going on in the course. Week one is usually easy, so I always go like, I feel like maybe, like, I don't know, I often just feel like, do I ask myself those questions that, do I understand everything? Like, did I understand everything, or do I need to go more detail? And I wouldn't even know if I understood the thing that they were teaching. Okay. But then like by the end of the course, maybe like I'm taking quiz two, because by the time like we've already been studying that for 2 months, and then things start to click, because at the end you get, when you have studied like all of the things, even if like maybe not perfectly, but you have studied, you have kind of went through all of the content, then okay, like, yeah, we are learning all of this, like this is the purpose, this is what we are trying to get to, something like that. So things start to become more clear. And also like in some courses we feel like this is what they were teaching, but when you go through the course, then you realize, okay, like, with the content that they had, the end goal would be this. Okay, like there was this, these mad courses, we have mad 1 course and mad 2 course. Like mad 1 course, basically they had these assignments where they were teaching, in the assignments, and then there were these tutorial videos that were teaching how to use all the tools. So like Flask, HTML, CSS, and like they were going one by one and teaching us all the tools. And so those process videos would, in the end, you would know, like they are basically teaching you all the tools that you would need in creating an app. Once you go over all of them, like once you've worked with them once, like you get it, you fill in the picture, and then the theory videos, like the actual lectures were actually theoretical, and they were covering a lot of ground in really short lectures. Okay, so in mad 1 they were like trying to explain, there was a video where they were maybe talking about like the internet, and there was a video where in a lecture they were trying to explain, hyperlinks, why HTML is called like hypertext protocol. Like HTML is what, I don't know, but anyway, like they have hyperlinks in it. It's a way to connect documents. Okay, because you have a hyperlink, that link, if you click that link, it would take you to another document. So it was a way to connect, pages, web pages, and that would create the World Wide Web or something. So World Wide Web is just, a connection, but basically all these links connecting all of these documents. I don't know if that was what he was saying, but he was trying to differentiate between like internet, which is you are connecting like computers across the world, and the web, which is connecting like all the web pages or like information. I don't know. So yeah, hyperlinks are basically links inside a text, like inside the page that is taking you to another page. Okay, so those were really important, I guess, because like before that you would have to type in the URL of to get to that resource, get to that page. But if you just have embedded links, then you can just click the link to get to another page. You don't have to remember all of the like domain URLs to get there, something like that. So that video, like those lectures were kind of covering a lot of things that I got from a bunch of courses. So maybe some of them were from like networking course. Okay, and I've taken like 2 networking courses. So in one was like internet protocol something, and another one was computer networking, which was like a basic course. So he was taking stuff from there. And yeah, he was also probably teaching about like Flask, and he was also explaining like Jinja, why is there Jinja. So those lectures were really amazing. But like they were also, because I was trying to understand the content of the lecture itself, like in an isolation. So maybe I watched one lecture and then I was trying to understand like all of the things that he taught, but he was basically just giving an overview. He wasn't really explaining every detail of it. So if I watch like maybe 1 week worth of lectures, then I would think like, did I really get everything out of that lecture, out of this week? Do I need to study it more? Do I need to find more resources? Do I actually understand what he taught and all of that? But like, that was too much. Okay. So like, by the end of the course, I think you would get a better idea of what the course was about. And like, if you actually look at the quiz and all of that, like they weren't really focusing on all of the theory and the history of like how the internet came to be, how HTML is this way, like all of that stuff. They weren't focused on that. They were actually focused on us, if we know the syntax. Okay, and later we have this Mad One project that builds on this course. Then in that course, like it doesn't care, like in that project it doesn't care if we know all of the theory stuff that he taught, but we should know how to create an app, how to use Flask, how to use Jinja, how to use like Bootstrap and all of that. So if you think about it, like that course was teaching how to basically create web applications, and the instructor was kind of taking a really interesting approach. But the thing is, like, if you watch just those lectures, you wouldn't know how to create the app. But anyway, like, all that stuff. Like in the beginning you were confused if you just watch those lectures, and like you wouldn't know like what the purpose is, and did I really complete that purpose? Did I really get what the lectures were trying to give me? And do I really understand what the what the lecture actually taught? And do I understand it well enough, or do I need to understand it more? Do I need to clarify things and all of that? And you can kind of get stuck because it's just 1 week, and we have like maybe 3 or 4 courses in 1 week, and we can't really learn everything so deeply. So anyway, the point is like that's not going to work at all. And like you would basically in the end you're going to be confused in the beginning. You don't know what's going on, but as you keep going and you finish assignments, you take quizzes, you keep watching lectures, and then at the end like you kind of figure out, okay, like this is where this is going. Those lectures are like teaching this. They taught this in lecture 1, and then in lecture 2 they were teaching this and all of that. And so yeah, that is what I'm saying. Like this is why retrospective videos, I can't really like just if I learn, I work on Mat 2 project, or I'm learning Vue 3 and on the first day, then I wouldn't, I think with the skill thing is like you learn to do something, and then you kind of you can just make a video at the end of the day and say like, this is what I learned today and this is how you do it. You just make a tutorial kind of thing, and then that's it. But like with understanding, if you're learning, I don't know, something new, then I don't think these kind of videos would work, because like you're basically like understanding forms in, like, it doesn't form in a, like in an instant. It takes time to form sometimes. you know like, you let it sit, you learn something, and then you just go, and like 2 days you just don't look at it, and then I don't know, like something just starts clicking. Basically, like, understanding takes time to happen. So, making those videos on that day to capture like what you learned and what you think was important, I don't know, like all of that is not gonna work very well. And I think, like, if you're trying to kind of condense what you understood while like it hasn't really gotten there, like you're trying to, like, I learned something today and I still don't know what the hell all of that meant. Like, what was I learning? Do I even understand anything? Like, then you try to kind of just consolidate everything and try to make it seem like, you actually got what was important, like try to summarize all of that. Then, that's not going to help. That's, you're basically trying to consolidate at a time where, like, the concepts haven't formed or something like that. So I think that's why I am going to wait for some time, because with like the cognitive science thing that I did, like, I've watched this video, this lecture, and it was interesting, and I read this chapter of this book and that was interesting, and I decided to watch these lecture series again by this Nancy, I don't know what her name is, but the Human Brain MIT course on YouTube. And she was, because of fMRI, she was talking about all the techniques that we use to kind of understand how our brain works and all of that. So I was like, something was going on, some things were coming up, like fMRI was coming up, and like, talking about representation, and I don't know what, like, I don't even know what is going on, but like there are pieces, and one piece is like kind of reminding me of another thing, and then I'm kind of looking into it and all of that. So my understanding haven't formed. I'm just kind of exploring stuff, and if I try right now to kind of consolidate and kind of summarize everything that I learned, then I don't think I would be able to do that. I think I should first explore the whole thing, and then when things become clear and I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is something that I can make a video on, like this is something that I think I should preserve, and I can make videos. But anyway, like, I think I should try to kind of summarize things on the day like I've learned it. So maybe I watched a bunch of videos and all of that, and then I can kind of say like, okay, there were these videos and they talk about like these interesting ideas and concepts and whatever, like that is good. Free recall is good, and I can do that. But then I also want to come back to all of that, so I can do that retrospective stuff. Like, I can kind of go through it again. It would also kind of remind me what I actually did, and then kind of make videos from there. So I don't know what I'm doing, but this is something that I want to do. I think it's important. Anyway, I'm recording it so that I don't get confused again. And yeah, what do I have to do tomorrow? I have to work on my project. So Math 2 project, BDM project. Basically, I have a month for that. So I need to work on that. And then, like, I want to make videos. Like, I wanted to make some videos on Java. I think, like, I made notes last time thinking that, I would have to explain it to somebody because I was planning on that series. And so, yeah, I want to make that series. So, yeah, I'll work on that Java thing, and maybe even some videos on that one because I was teaching it to somebody. And yeah, like, I can make certain videos that would help. So, working on the videos, then maybe I can kind of learn that cognitive science or whatever if I feel like it. And yeah, with like Math 2 and BDM, I can basically just, I can, record the whole process and just explain things as I go, so that, future me watching those videos isn't confused and there is like a transcript that can come out of it. Because if it's like me silent the whole video, then there will be no transcript and I can't give it to any AI to summarize and all of that. So yeah, I should be recording what I'm doing so that I don't have to figure it out. Like I can just hear it. So yeah, recording and learning those things, and I can kind of, take those video notes, even like text notes. So just like I did with View, something, I learned something like this is how you basically create a simple View app. You just paste the CDN here and like you create this app variable. Like I can just make those notes so that like they are there. I learned something, like I learned how to do something, and I want to preserve that understanding, that just like, it's basically the second thing, right? Where I am, yeah, preservation videos. I know how to do this thing, so I am explaining it so that if I forget, I can come back to the video, something like that. So I can do that with Matt too. I can do that with BDM. If I come across something, I think Matt too, I am learning a lot of new things. So yeah, or like those are all things that I've already learned, but that's the whole point. Like you forget, you have to refresh your memory. So yeah, I can make those kind of videos, but yeah, like I'm gonna be recording the whole process and also making those kind of videos when needed as like notes. And yeah, then Java and like Mad One, system commands, I was making that, so I can work on that maybe if I have time. And I don't really feel like learning anything, so I just feel really exhausted. And I think like with Matt too, like working on those projects can take hours into just coding, and then you kind of, your brain just gets exhausted, so you can't really focus on anything else, especially like something really kind of cognitively demanding, like learning something new, and I won't be like really engaged in it because of that. So that, and what was the thing that I was going to do? Maybe, so I don't know, maybe that was it. Those were like recording the videos, those video notes kind of thing for preservation. Yeah. Yeah, I was saying that, I did the TDS assignment. It was like GA 0. So it wasn't the first assignment, it was the 0th assignment, and it was just for us to see if we can actually take that course, if we can do well in that course, or we would just fail. So I did that, and there were some things like, I think there was a way to kind of create some kind of secure connection so that you can do like your local server, local host, I don't know, so that basically you can access your own website that you are hosting in your local host, local server, I don't know, and just kind of serve it on the internet. I don't know, like something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, like that assignment had a lot of interesting new things that I should look into, and maybe I should just start studying TDS. TDS stands for Tools in Data Science, and it is looking at many tools. So if I put, let's just do, yeah, like a lot of things that I saw in the course here, there is the syllabus, right? So a lot of things I actually don't know. I mean, most of the things I don't know, I haven't worked on. So a lot of new things, and I should probably start learning these, because otherwise, like, I'm probably gonna be behind. So these things I already know. Yeah, like API testing with curl, Chrome DevTools, HTTP fundamentals, like we know all of that. Maybe I don't know what this UV workflow is, So maybe with like this bridge course, even in this, like I would need to look into some things, but I think I know most things, those are just basic things that we would know by now. Okay, and then yes, this is where like the course actually starts. This is the course curriculum. And yeah, so one, dev environment and tooling. So it's just going over all of these. So yeah, UV, Python package manager. So this is something new I don't know about. So yeah, like these things. Then deployment and API engineering. I didn't do any of that. Yeah, I've heard about Docker, and yeah, I have looked into Redis caching because it was in Math too. So all of that, but yeah, so new things I would have to, yeah, Google OAuth. This is something that I would have to use in this project, but I don't know much about, I haven't used it. So yeah, there are a lot of new things, new tools to learn. So I can learn these and I can record myself learning these, and I can also make those like end of the day video where when I've learned that thing, then I can make a really simple explainer video that I can even upload on my channel. So something like that. So this is something that I can work on. And where do I write it down so I should remember? Because this video is like too long now. And I know that I am never gonna find this note. Yeah. So what's the plan? June 2026. So it's work on Math 2 and BDM project. Wow. Screen recording. And also keep explaining the thought process, what you're thinking, etc. Explain what you are doing from time to time, something like that. So I want to work on these projects. They're important. And yeah, also record like preservation videos to preserve some insight or how to use some tool. Just learn some understanding, something that I understood just now, and something like that. So like these preservation videos I can keep recording, and then yeah, work on TDS coursework, even assignments while recording, learn the new things. And yeah, like there is this secure connection, local host to have site on accessible on the internet, something like that. TDS coursework. Also, if there is time, then make those videos for textbook club on Java, Mad1, SC, or PDSA, or basically whatever is easiest to explain. Make a video on that specific topic. And I remember like in PDSA, I was going to make the video on topological sorting, make that maybe. And yeah, Java, there were like the how to get started, or how to write a basic Java program, and the object versus object variable concepts, etc., and like inheritance and that weird behavior. Anyway, I don't have to write all of this stuff here anyway, so I'm just gonna remove Java. I just want to remind myself what this PDS topic that I was gonna work on. So yeah, this, and then record preservation videos, and then TDS coursework, recording, and then videos for textbook plug. Yeah, I can do this. And I hope that my mind suddenly doesn't start looking for a new thing. I think with like ADHD, you just get a reset every night. So you go to sleep, and then next day you wake up and you don't remember anything from yesterday. You just lose all of the context. And so you don't know what you were doing, or like you just don't somehow carry the motivation and like the questions and the continuity from yesterday into today. So you don't really feel like doing anything, just continuing anything that you were doing yesterday, or you don't even remember. And so you just try to figure out like what do I do, what should I do today, what is important, what was I learning. Like you basically try to create the whole context again, like ChatGPT said once, not once, but like I have talked about it because this is a real issue, and I think this is the reason why I can't really follow up on my plans. And yeah, I can't really work on one goal towards one goal because I lose the sight, I lose the context. I just lose whatever like motivates you to actually work on that project. And yeah, but like these things, when you have deadlines, when you have, yeah, even the deadlines, like think about like Mad One project, it was really easy if I actually started working on it. But for 2 terms, like I took the project, I didn't do it. I actually did it in the 3rd term because I was like, I have to finish it. It's been too many terms. And then I actually did it in a rush, and mostly like in the last like 9 days, because there were like other things that were going on. Anyway, so with deadlines, it is still easier. And I think with deadlines, it's easier because you can kind of, there is a like scope condensation. I don't know, not condensation, but like compression. So I think with ADHD, like you can really go into idea generation. I've heard like this is divergent thinking. So you keep coming up with new ideas that is really easy for us. And it's like really exciting, and I don't know. So you do that, and then you kind of, then like the scope kind of explodes. So you were just gonna make these preservation videos that were about like preserving just one insight that you had, but then you made it into something big. So like, I don't know what I was trying to do anyway, but whatever I want to do, like maybe I want to make a series on linear algebra, then I start with like, I'm just gonna study like this course that I took on linear algebra like week by week, and then I'm just gonna make videos explaining that week. Okay, and then I go into it, and then I'm like, I can't just teach it like this in isolation. I have to kind of connect all the concept, connect all the weeks, and then basically the whole course should be like this, and I don't know, like I just make it a really big goal that is not achievable. And I don't know, like I also lose the motivation to work on it unless like, so something like that, So one of the thing is that like scope explosion. So there is no constraint, you basically keep increasing the scope of the project. Before it was just like, read this book and then read every chapter and then just summarize it. And then, yeah, like that summary would be the video. but then later it becomes, you know, you have to kind of understand this chapter, and I don't know. And then like you have to read the whole book, and then you have to understand it, and then figure out everything that is written in it. Like, I don't know. And then, you know, then you kind of make this really amazing series on this book that is, I don't know, on the level of like ContraPoints, something like that. And then that's just too much, because like you probably wouldn't even read the book, but if you do read the book, then you would think like, you know, you didn't understand it well enough, so you have to read it again. And yeah, like the thing is, you know, the goal becomes really big, really difficult, the scope explodes. And yeah, so if you have a deadline, and yeah, it can kind of constrain it so that you can kind of focus on just doing that, achieving that little goal. And because you now have a really specific goal that is kind of constrained, there is an endpoint, then you can kind of work on it really hard until it is finished. That can happen. So then you work really well, but otherwise you don't. So anyway, I don't know what I was talking about, but I think this is enough. Yeah, 4 types of videos.